Hello, my name is George Chamberlain, and I'm here in Panama City at a meeting of the U.S. Soybean Export Council talking about sustainability. And there was a great talk yesterday by Mr. Alfredo Nicastro, Senior Vice President with StoneX, a company involved in carbon markets, about the importance of carbon sequestration as a solution for feed ingredients and feeds, which are one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions in aquaculture. So Alfredo, I wonder if you could just sort of summarize some of the key points from your presentation yesterday.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, George.
Thank you.
And I think the key takeover from our discussion yesterday is that the whole agriculture field, including aquaculture, presents a significant opportunity for the climate fight, right?
Yes.
It is a major contributor today for the emissions, for greenhouse gas emissions, and there's a lot of opportunities for implementing climate actions that will provide us with the necessary emission reductions to reach our goals of 1.5 limit of global warming, right? So that's a great thing. And in the last few years, I would say 2 to 3 years, we've seen a significant increase in interest on implementing action in agriculture as a whole. And why is that? It's in the past, it was a little harder because of the lack of technology. Remote sensing, satellite imagery was pretty difficult for us to actually measure the impact of improved or sustainable practices in the agriculture. But right now, with all the technology that we have available, we can actually do that in a way that we can measure and demonstrate that the emission reductions actually happen. So for an example, if we implement no-tilling or a cover crop or improve your nitrogen management in the fields, you can actually measure that right now, not only by taking samples, but also through imagery, different layers of satellite imagery and that you can use to demonstrate it. So it helps you demonstrate the emission reductions occurred and allow you to issue the carbon credit, which is the monetizable asset that you can bring to market to help make the investments on these actions. So that's one of the main key takeaways, is that there is a significant momentum. There's a momentum because of technology, methodology, and market mechanisms.
How do you see the progression in terms of the value of these markets over time? Is there a measurable level that give us an idea of where it's going?
Well, yeah. If you look at recent numbers, 2022, we closed at it's almost a $2 billion market, right? So voluntary markets. If you look at the trends, well, some bright minds would say that by 2030, it should be around $1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of a stretch, but still, that's the trend. That's the trend, because we need to provoke more climate action. And a lot of that, it will involve more sophisticated technology. So carbon sequestration and storage, direct air capture, several things that actually have a higher capital cost. So you're going to need to have more emission reductions issued at a higher price, and that will drive markets.
So there's the potential that farming and feed ingredients could go from a big positive greenhouse gas emissions to a much reduced level, or even a negative, where they begin to sequester. Is that correct?
Exactly. The first step is to be able that you mitigate your emissions.
Yes.
So be sure that you lower your actual level, current level of emission, the carbon emissions, and then second, you have to improve removals, right? So you can start by, for an example, implementing your fertilization practices and lowering nitrous oxide emissions, which is a potent greenhouse gas. Once that is done, you can improve a little bit better how you manage your soil, use cover crops and no-tilling, and with that you increase the transfer and capture of carbon in the soil. You actually can do both at the same time, so that would help you not only mitigate your emissions, but also increase your sequestration, so you can eventually become carbon negative.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Well, we really appreciate your input and look forward to working more on this in the future. Thank you, Alfredo.
I appreciate it. And I think maybe to close, it's important to say that the carbon markets are significant mechanisms to help farmers bring value to the operation. So it's not easy for you to implement a sustainable practice. It will cost you more. Eventually, at the short term and the long term, it's probably help you because you're going to have a premium on a lower carbon product. But I think carbon markets can help you capture some of that value and drive your financials in a way that is not only good for the environment, but is also good for your bottom line.
And I believe that the final markets, the big retailers, are requesting food products that have lower carbon emissions. So it goes all the way back to those feed ingredients.
That is a fact.
Yes.
And you see that it trickles down to the value chain. Aquaculture, they use feed that comes from the agriculture, soy and all of that. So if you increase the performance in the field, that is going to go all the way to the final consumer.
Exactly. Great. Thank you, Alfredo.
Now, my pleasure. Thank you, George.